is a big deal. And, of course, Larry Pratt, the head of Gun Owners of America, really was at the tip of the spear breaking this nationally when he was able to get on several national television programs. The information was already out there. The ATF agents had tried to go public and said, we're ordered to let guns be shipped into Mexico that are killing cops and Border Patrol. But Larry was really the first on Fox and other channels to be able to point out in a national forum that indeed the government did know about this and had perjured themselves. And now it's been confirmed the White House knew in congressional testimony. Eric Holder did perjure himself because he put out press releases last year bragging about their program in plain view. And so this should bring them down. I hope Republicans aren't thinking, hey, he's dropping politically. He's a dead political duck. Let's just, use his weakness. Because he's not weak. He's launching wars without congressional approval, carbon taxes without congressional approval, ATF gun laws without a law, power grabbing. He's too dangerous, okay? And it's more than that. The Republican establishment is engaged in dirty tricks as well in the past. So we need to see if the Tea Party can really take America back and punish Barack Obama. Larry Pratt, is it not impeachable? I mean, we know, as you know, it's come out that the White House did know, and it's come out that Holder's lied. I mean, shouldn't there be congressional impeachment hearings beginning to explore impeachment?
I think Representative Dan Issa, the head of the Oversight Committee in the House, is heading in that direction. He's proceeding very methodically because my impression is he understands the hostility of the Democrat media and their eagerness to defend their colleague heading the current regime. And so he didn't want to make any mistakes, and his research has been spot on. Everything he's put out has been flawless. In fact, they tried to do a hit job on him from the New York Times, and he answered that very effectively. This guy is tough, smart.
He's caught him in perjury over and over again with the memos and emails.
Yes, and I think he's going to have perjury charges and obstruction of justice charges for refusal to produce information that are eventually going to culminate in certainly a contempt of Congress. And what we've been hoping is that he might consider having the House appoint an independent counsel, put him in the Speaker of Arms office, develop the case, present charges, and have the Capitol Hill police arrest for whatever crimes were committed in the White House. They can arrest anywhere in the District of Columbia. So I've been saying that if we see that some of these officials in the Justice Department and ATF begin to telecommute from their suburban homes, you'll know that ICE is about ready to put them in the pokey.
Well, it is a good sign that the guy had to resign, but to chronicle in a nutshell what Fast and Furious is, and then what's happened since then. And it was actually the Tampa office that was involved shipping the guns into Honduras as well. You corrected me.
By the container load. By the container load. Man, that's a bunch of guns. They don't do things in small ways, do they? The Fast and Furious was concocted at a multi-agency meeting in October of 2009, the ATF being the point of the spear, but FBI, DEA, Border Control.
And remember, they say they knew nothing and it was only locals doing this on their own. I mean, they've been caught lying. Sorry, go ahead.
I know, there's so many opportunities to be a little excited about this. So the idea was that they took a legitimate police operation, a sting operation, where they would watch a suspicious sale, and once an illegal act occurred, boom, they'd make the arrest. October of 2009, they said, let's just let the guns go into Mexico. Now, the official line was, that way we'll be able to somehow track them and see where they go and up to the Mr. Biggs of the drug cartel. Well, hey, we know who the Mr. Biggs are. The trouble is finding them. And there was absolutely no way at all that they could. Once they let those guns walk into Mexico, they were losing all track of the evidence, and you just don't do that in police work. That's just absolutely inconceivable.
But regardless, they've been caught lying about it and perjuring themselves and continuing with what's come out in court. What was the breaking point when the head of the ATF, the nominee, the acting head, squealed and said, listen, I didn't do this alone. The FBI, the DEA were involved. Of course, the Attorney General knows. Was that the breaking point?
It might have actually been earlier, and the ATF acting head may have testified as a result of some ratting out that was done by Dennis Burke, the U.S. attorney in Phoenix, who had been the chief of staff of Janet Napolitano, the Secretary of Homeland Insecurity. Burke has been forced to resign, and I think that was in retaliation for his having pointed the finger all the way up to the top. Now, just as you were introing, I was looking at some info from Mike Vanderbo, who is the blogger who's mainly responsible for having dug up all this information that we're now talking about, who got in touch with the whistleblowing agents and who got them linked up to Mr. Grassley and Mr. Issa in the U.S. Congress. This says that now they have possession of email that had gone from the head of the Phoenix office, where they were operating fast and furious, to 3 individuals in the White House, a North American Affairs Director for Latin America on the National Security Council, and 2 other individuals, all involved in the national security area. So we've got this thing is so interwoven into what was going on for a long time. There were a lot of people who had a lot of knowledge about what this was really all about.
And so guns into Mexico is only the tip of the iceberg. Now it's guns by the giant container load out of Tampa and other areas of Florida into Honduras.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was also happening, and I don't think I've been able to mention this on your show before, one of the guys that the ATF was monitoring as making these questionable purchases and lots of guns, and of course getting them walked into Mexico, was an FBI informant who'd been a drug dealer, had been convicted, and was given a chance to rat out other guys by doing what he was doing as this straw purchaser. So here's this FBI agent buying all these guns, and apparently he had all this money to buy the guns because the FBI, the DEA, and the ICE had made a deal with Sinaloa cartel to let drugs into the country so that they could get a cut of that to buy the guns. Cool, huh?
Absolutely, and that's now come out in the Chicago Tribune and also in federal documents is how they got that, and of course in the El Paso Times. Now, Sally Castile, a former DEA agent, school teacher, after he got out of the DEA, he told us this 6 years ago, that there was already some of this going on, and then he said about 3 years ago that it was expanding, and he said it had gone hog wild under Obama, and then they came and arrested him for having a couple shotguns and said that he was illegally selling guns, and he's now in prison, should get out soon. So we actually knew about this a long time ago, just from that one source and a couple others that confirmed that was going on. But this looks like Iran-Contra here, because you've got the drug dealers allowed to bring cocaine in, and you've got guns being shipped into Latin America to knock out the competition. This whole thing, I mean, but this is even more cut and dry than Iran-Contra. I mean, there should be immediate, giant congressional hearings on this.
Let's make one point here. We don't know yet what Obama knew when, nor do we know what Holder knew when. But we can say this with all Nixonian certainty. The fact that they have not fired these individuals, these 4 individuals that have been transferred into Washington jobs.
They promoted them.
They may not have promoted them, but they moved them in closer to them in their headquarters operation. Whatever the case, they didn't fire them. That means Obama and Holder own the cover-up.
But that, I mean, as you said, that came out in Congress. What is it, at least 4 high-level people in the White House communicating back and forth? Of course Obama knows. This is a giant 3-agency operation. I mean, of course they're involved.
In fact, it's even more agencies than that. It's ATF, FBI, DEA, Border Patrol, ICE, Coast Guard, State Department, and for whatever reason, the IRS. Maybe they were charging sales tax on.
Wow. Now, wait. So I'm learning something here. So, but again, the Attorney General is saying he never knew about it, but you've got 6, 7 agencies involved. This is amazing. Boy, I bet Eric Holder can feel the flames of his political destruction lapping at his hind end.
You know, I think I said this before in the show, but I would like to have an exclusive dealership at the Justice Department and at the ATF for selling Depends. Because they've got to have digestive trouble right about now.
Well, and again, they've been trying to cover this up. As you said, they've had the New York Times, Washington Post, others attacking anybody that talks about this. Why do you think CBS has been so fair on this? CBS is normally one of the worst water carriers for Obamanoids and Clintonistas.
Well, they initially they let go, let her have her way, Cheryl Atkinson. She is an incredible reporter. I've had lunch with her. I still don't know what her politics are. She is professional. And she got the info from Mike Vanderboe and was willing to work with Mike and realized that when she got in touch with the agents that, yeah, Mike knew what he was saying. And so she ran with these stories. They didn't apparently, at CBS hierarchy, see the political implication right away for their Democrat buds in the regime. When they realized that, she was able to continue reporting, but not on television. So you have to go to cbsnews.com or just go to gunowners.org, because we've got a link right to her, and you don't have to fetch around on their page. Just go to gunowners.org, and she's got a wonderful archive of her broadcast and printed or electronic information.
Yeah, she helps break the story, and I've seen it now. It's relegated to some under a rock place, so that shows you right there. Well, and Fox was a long time getting on this thing, but now they do, I must say, they cover it very regularly with William Lajeunesse, who's in their West Coast division. He's been to Mexico, he's been to Arizona, and he's a good reporter. He's doing a good job. Now, we've interviewed William Lajeunesse. I remember like 10 years ago, he did a story on Agenda 21 and UN takeover of America, and it showed the Green Police in little comedy pieces, you know, coming and seizing people's houses. But now that's actually happening. Now expanding.
And until 2 days ago, Alex, NBC had nothing. They finally had an article, and ABC has yet to show up. They're still MIA.
Larry, where does it go from here? I mean, why aren't we seeing Boehner going after this? Why aren't we seeing other Republican leadership? In fact, I should have brought it up with Ron Paul just a few days ago when he was on with me.
They're letting ISA take the lead on this thing. He's going to have more hearings in October. He's already indicated that there are a lot of other questions that he wants to have answered. And I think in due course, he's going to make the moves. And hopefully, this is going to become big enough that, if nothing else, some of the Republican candidates ought to take this up and start talking about Obama, the head mobster, and bring some of this stuff into the discussion as they give their speeches. And I think we may not see action taken against Obama and company before the elections, but I do think that if we get this word out enough, and we have ways of doing that, and you're one of the big ways we have of doing that, he'll be a one-term president.
Well, that's great, but I would also like to see Holder behind bars, and I know these are mobsters. I don't like having to get up here and stand up against them.
Well, if we get a new sheriff, and if we have a new attorney general and appointed by a president who's got a belly for the fight, then I think we could see that, because this is, imagine, right now we already know of at least 200 people and counting that have been slain using these fast and furious weapons. And it's going to continue because they've only recovered 600 of the 2,000 guns that were let go. So you got to believe that they're not all going to be in my hunting safe waiting for an occasional usage. And so this means that this thing's going to continue to mount. And the number of people involved, in every one of those guns that was sold involved a number of federal and state violations. We're hoping that we can interest a state prosecutor in reckless endangerment charges, conspiracy to commit murder charges, because a lot of the people that were involved in this, you know, there were 2 or 3 that I can think of right off the top, at the leadership of the Phoenix office were directing this.
Wow.
Mostly against unwilling, unhappy agents who were told, hey, if you don't like what we're doing, go get another job.
Stay there, Larry. I want to hit a few final items with you on the other side and talk about other gun-grabbing issues that are taking place. But there's another article in Fox News today where it's documented that from the beginning, federal officials tried to cover up evidence. The gun that killed Terry was one of the government intentionally helped sell to Mexican cartels. So there's more evidence of the obstruction. I mean, we've got these people. What more of an investigation is needed?